public hearing tonight is a request by Dan McGlade for approval of a zoning map amendment from the existing urban agriculture zoning district to light industrial zoning district on a 9.73 acre parcel. Property is currently addressed as 64710 Road. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of ZC 15-2. May we have a report from staff?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Yes, we do have a request for zone map amendment from urban ag to light industrial. The applicant's name is Daniel McGlade. Subject property is located on Zero Road, a little ways west of the intersection of Robertson and Zero Road. You can see this is a zoning map here. This indicates our urban ag zoning district. This would indicate our light industrial zoning district. Here is more of an aerial map of where we are talking. Again, we've got Zero Road and the intersection of Robertson Road. This is located, subject property is located here, just underneath 10 acres. This is a photograph at the subject property looking south from Zero Road. This is subject property looking southwest. Say more west and south, a bit west. Here is again subject property looking facing west. This is Zero Road right behind us. And again, subject property looking eastward now toward Robertson Road. This is an energy transportation building formerly referred to as the PepsiCo warehouse. General standards. Applicant must demonstrate that they meet one of these 6 items in order for a zone change to be considered. 1, is it necessary to come in compliance with the development plan? 2, was the existing zoning a result of a clerical error? 3, the existing zoning of the land was based upon a mistake of fact. 4, the existing zoning failed to take into account constraints on development, slopes, floodplains, etc. 5, the land and its surrounding environs has changed or is changing to such a degree it's in the public's interest to encourage redevelopment. And finally, 6, in order to provide a land for a community need not anticipated at the time of the adoption of the development plan. These are the 6 criteria the applicant has at their disposal. The applicant must choose which one or ones apply to theirs and demonstrate to the department that that has occurred. The applicant in this case has selected number 5. And 5 is the land and its surrounding environs has changed or is changing to such a degree it's in the public's interest to encourage redevelopment. These are the justification the applicant has provided. They're seeking the zone change to a change in environment on Zero Road. The applicant owns a property to the east of the subject property, which is zoned light industrial. All the lots to the north and east are zoned light industrial. The applicant purchased the property either for resale or rental to a commercial buyer or tenant. The buyer or tenant would need the ability to perform light industrial activities similar to the surrounding businesses. Again, these are the justifications the applicants provided to the planning department. Staff does not find evidence that criteria number 5 has been met for the following reasons. The light industrial properties in the area have existed for over 35 years. The surrounding light industrial zoning was established as follows. Westgate Park number 3 was zoned in 1980. Zero Road Industrial occurred in 1977. O'Quinn, 78. And the rangeland to the northeast and the east was zoned light industrial in 1980. So there has been no change in the surrounding environs. Furthermore, this zone change is not supported by the development plan. The development plan for that neighborhood states the land use projection is to limit residential and infill in existing industrial areas only. The land plan calls for agricultural with no new residential subdivisions and limit development. The goal applied to this neighborhood was the preservation of agricultural lands. Key issue: should Natrona County approve a zone change when the zone map change criterion has not been met and it is not supported by the development plan? Public comment. As of tonight's meeting, there was 31 comments in opposition have been received by the department. At their September 8, 2015 meeting, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial of the proposed zone change by the Board of County Commissioners. Staff also recommends that tonight's motion incorporate by reference all findings of fact set forth. Make them part there. With that, I'd answer any questions you guys may have.
Questions for Mr. Gutierrez? Thank you. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of zone change 15-2 to please approach the lectern. And for the second time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of zone change 15-2 to please approach the lectern. And for the third and final time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of ZC 15-2 to please approach the lectern. And can I see, would everybody raise their hand who is here in opposition to this? Okay, so there's quite a few of you. If we can keep this down to 1 or 2 people commenting, let's please do so. Unless you've got something pertinent to add that hasn't been said, I've asked for an individual to speak, and if they've missed something, we'll still have you come up. So at this time, I would ask Mr. Gutierrez.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there has been an organizer of this group, Melanie in the group here, and she's prepared a PowerPoint presentation that summarizes a lot of the feelings that are out there. So at your pleasure, if you can give her the opportunity to express that, I think that's going to cover a lot of ground.
Okay. So at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of zone change 15-2 to please approach the lectern. And please state your name and address for the record.
Melanie Peterson. I'm about to live at 695 6 Mile Road. We're actually in the process of building a house, but my family's been farming for 20-some years. So. What I'm handing out to you is a copy. The warranty deed restriction comes with this property, as well as amendments that were just created recently. And I'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. Yes. As well as I only have one copy of the amendments approval, basically by all of the majority acreage owners. Sounds good. So I hesitate to give you the entire presentation because the original requesters aren't even showing up, which somewhat shows that I think they understand that there is a pretty tremendous amount of opposition going into this request. I'll try to hit the fine points as quickly as I possibly can. I'm speaking in behalf of quite a bit of the community, and a majority of the community does oppose these changes for rezoning this property. In overview of this presentation, I wanted to talk to you about updates to warranty deed restrictions for Mr. McGlay's property that have occurred between the September 8th meeting and this meeting tonight. I wanted to talk about the current property conditions for the surrounding community, and largely because it addresses why this rezoning of this property is not going to assist or enhance or give value to the public. There are also many concerns and reservations that were given by the people of the community that I want to express. And then just simply reiterate and discuss the recommendations and guidance for the property from the Planning Department, the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the 1998 Neighborhood Zoning Guidance Book. So in terms of the history of this warranty deed, the last time that I was here in front of you, we thought we had properly mapped the property that was subject to warranty deed restrictions, and one of those main restrictions, why it's so important to this, is it prevents light industrial activity. I was wrong. We were wrong. We got the interpretation off of the actual warranty deed for this property itself, and the opposition that was coming from Mr. McGlade's representative kind of clued us in that there was something not jiving correctly and made us research. To that end, what I found was the description on the warranty deed describing Mr. McGlade's property as being Lot 2 was right but inaccurate, because it's actually only a part of Lot 2, and that's where this original map came from. From the research, I found a BLM lot designation map that was able to describe what Lot 3 and what Lot 2 actually was, and that Mr. McGlade's property is only part of Lot 2 and encompasses this full 160 acres in Section 3. That brings us to a true accurate mapping of what the original warranty deed restrictions covered. That being the case, I have to give you a little bit more history because we're only up to speed for the 1972 map. The updates and historical record for the warranty deed restrictions amounts to, in 2003, Bruce Schmidt purchased a piece of the property. That piece of the property is this upper corner right here. In 2006, Deidre and Mike Homan purchased what is now Mountain Horizon subdivision. At that time, they were majority acreage owners, and they decided to create a warranty deed restriction specifically to their property. They had the majority acreage, so they had the right to do that by the laws of the original warranty deed restrictions. The rest of the people that were on the property subject to the warranty deed restrictions decided to stay and utilize the original 1972 warranty deed restrictions for their protection, for their properties. That really brings us up to speed at this point of what these maps look like. As I said in the previous meeting, there was confusion as to who was subject to this warranty deed restriction. Everyone on the property, or everyone that I've discussed with, did not have any idea that Mr. Bruce Schmidt's property was subject to the warranty deed restriction, including Mr. Rosberg, Jeanette, and Dean. What transpired was they decided to have a group meeting. Mr. McGlade was actually invited to that meeting, but when I called his energy company to see if he was available, I was told that he was out of the country, so he obviously couldn't show up for it. At that time, the warranty deed, or the people that were subject to the warranty deed, decided that they were not comfortable with someone being in violation, and I should explain, Bruce is a tree farm. He's selling trees commercially. That's what was the violation of the original warranty deed restriction. You're not allowed to sell trees commercially. They did not want anyone to be in violation, and now that they knew, they wanted to take immediate action, and that's exactly what they did. They came up with a plan, and they modified the warranty deed restrictions such to a way that they were happy, and this just describes what I just told you, that they were happy and content for their current desires, for what they wanted their community to be. To that end, I'm not going to read this entire slide, but what it does is it strikes the first two restrictions that limit your capability for agricultural, commercial, and it replaces them with, the lands shall be used for urban agricultural and residential purposes only. No light industrial or heavy industrial use of said lands shall be permitted. The other important piece is that commercial, agricultural, and associated accessory uses are going to be allowed as long as the family is residing on the premises and that it's a family business. Now we're happy to say that everyone is in compliance with the warranty deed restrictions. I want to reiterate that most importantly to Mr. McGlade, because even if you do try to rezone this property will be subject to legal ramifications pending the change. You have to have both the warranty deed restrictions to be in compliance with your with what you want to use the property for, as well as the zoning. I also wanted to talk about the current property conditions. This is a desirable neighborhood. The residences, the people take care of their housing, the farms are cared for and utilized. It's really hard to quantify that reality, but I think that the current market quantifies how desirable this area is in comparison to Casper by simply taking a snapshot of the area off Zillow.com, which is a residential selling tool. You only have, on the September 8th meeting, 4 pieces of property that are for sale in this area. We look at the Zillow for today, there's only 3 pieces of property for sale in this area. Now if you take a look at the snapshot at Casper as a whole, other neighborhoods unfortunately aren't faring quite as well. So it just shows you how desirable and how well maintained this area is. And it's important for these people to continue that process. They want to keep their neighborhood in good condition. Mr. McGlade's reasoning, as we have already stated, to change the zoning is that the land or surrounding environments has changed, and it's changing to such a degree that it is in the public interest to rezone. I don't see any evidence for that. In fact, I actually see contradictory evidence. The first being that you have your environment changing. Well, the zoning hasn't been changed for over the past 35 years. And we know that this property itself has been agricultural for far longer than that. I don't know how long, but longer. The other thing is it actually in the public's interest to change the zone? At the previous meeting for September, I reported that commercial properties for sale at this time are 45 reported on the RE/MAX website. I also knew a couple of properties for sale that were not on the RE/MAX, actually on Robertson Road, just adjacent to this property. There are 3 for sale out of the 11 industrial facilities that are there. That's 27% of the property on that road. If you take a look at the snapshot for October 6th, it's much of the same. The RE/MAX properties are still listed as being 45. However, I did notice a new leasing sign that went up at 6800 West Zero Road. That is an industrial site, and I unfortunately know that FMC is closing and will likely sell or lease their property. So what would that mean if another industrial site came on the market? Well, unfortunately, we're in a saturated market as it is. It means that it has the capability of devaluing those other properties. I have a hard time stating that that would be in the public's best interest. There are multiple reservations that people have expressed within the community. One is that if we change the zoning on this particular property where it is already listed and recognized as being residential, everyone believes that it would always be residential because they knew about the warranty deeds. It could have a negative impact on their property value, on their welfare, and on their lifestyle for their families and their families' welfare. There would be changes in noise level, increased lighting at night, and dust control issues. The introduction of spot zoning is also a deep concern. If we're allowing Mr. McGlade to change his property, what is to stop, say, Randy Jenkins, who's across and adjacent, from changing his property? There really wouldn't be much because it's, relatively speaking, the same type of situation. I'm sorry, Randy, you're my cousin. I know I can pick on you at this meeting. But it goes to say if Randy's unhappy with this zoning, this new zoning, he decides to sell. He could sell for a higher profit by switching it to light industrial, and that's not that's not the point to rezoning. That's not how rezoning is supposed to be utilized. The other issue that is of large concern is safety hazards. When you're intermixing intermixing communities, both light industrial, as well as residential. Light industrial, just by its nature, it's not malicious behavior, it's not on purpose. Light industrial has higher safety risks. The people that work in facilities that are dealing with light industrial, they're trained to try to mitigate those risks, but it's always a bigger problem. And when you intermix residential communities versus the light industrial, you're intermixing communities that one is trained to deal with the work and the other is not. It's hard to tell a 5-year-old that he can't cross the street to go see his friends on the other side because it's not OSHA compliant. The other very large concern is that Rosberg Road is a residential road. It's the only access point for this property, as well as it's a dead end. So what does that mean since Rosberg Road is a dead end? Well, if we take a look at 2 examples, one is Robertson. It's right next to Rosberg Road. Robertson is built and structured to be light industrial. If we take a look at that example, and I'm going to pick on this property in particular, if you take a look at if an accident does occur and that accident spills into Robertson Road, you still have 2 exit pathways to evacuate people to basically safely get everyone out if it's something that comes up that's necessary. If you take that same situation with a property on Rosberg Road, a light industrial accident, I don't know what it is, fire, spill, whatever the case may be, Rosberg is a dead end. You have absolutely no exits, and all of the residents that are at the end of that road are now in basically harm's way. Finally, I just want to reiterate the recommendations from the Planning Department and the Planning Zoning Commission from the previous meeting, that it was to deny the application because the criteria was not met, as well as, I'm going to skip one, as well as to describe that the 1998 Natrona County Development Plan only describes the properties, the plan for being limited infill industrial and infill residence only, not rezoning, just infill. If you have one house, you can put in another. If you have one light industrial facility, you can split that property, put in another light industrial. It basically doesn't mention rezoning. The other thing is that the plan is built to protect and preserve agricultural lands, and this particular property is agricultural. I'm not going to, this is just simply a summary of all those points that I set up for you in the rest of the presentation. I'm not going to reiterate that. I just would like to thank you at this time for the consideration.
And thank you. Questions? Thank you. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of ZC 15-2 to please approach the lectern. And for the third and final time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of ZC 15-2 to please approach the lectern. Hearing no one or no others to speak for or against ZC 15-2, I now declare this public hearing closed. And with that, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to accept the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to deny.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. And you did intend to include findings?
Yes.
Should we get that?